I have my good friend here, MaryBeth. I've known MaryBeth for a little while now, and I asked her to come in and allow me to interview her. So I'm super happy that you're here, MaryBeth.
Thank you.
How are you?
Good. Great to be here.
I'm so glad you're
We
here.
were just giggling earlier because when I first met her, I told her I was totally intimidated and afraid of her. And she was like, "What? Are you kidding?" I'm like, "Yeah, because she's amazing, seriously amazing." So thank you. I'm honored.
She said I had a very scary resting bitch face.
She scared the shit out of me.
But I'm not intimidating at all. I'm
No.
actually pretty nice.
You
But
are.
I'm super glad you're here. And, you know, I've told you about my passion working with other people that are struggling with addiction. With Love Prevails, we offer peer support services for the person that is maybe considering so getting sober, trying to find their way, or maybe somebody that maybe you are sober and you are just trying to get life together and figure out, where do I go from here? And so at Love Prevails, we do offer those services, as well as working with the families. There's a lot of families out there that are lost and don't know what to do and how to get that help. So at Love Prevails, we do offer that, as well as intervention support services. If you are watching somebody you care deeply about struggle with addiction, then we're here to help with that and love to hear from you. Now, I asked MaryBeth to come on today, and I'm super excited that she's here. MaryBeth, we were talking about feelings and how, you know, we allow other people to manipulate us, and how do we do that? And can you go ahead and tell all of us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. All right, so I'm the girl that if somebody looks at me the wrong way, I will get a bruise. I always immediately think I'm responsible for the bad weather, for whatever is going on in someone's life. And really I've come to learn a lot that feelings aren't facts, and feelings always change. They always go away. They neutralize. They might get a little bit worse. They might get better, but they always go away. And but we were chatting earlier about journaling, because I hate journaling. The minute that I write something down, just became real. And I love to live in fantasy land. I loved to, when I was little, I loved to build forts, tree houses, secret hiding places. I would, quickly turn my bed into a tent, and just loved like the mystique of just getting away, and just and I think that's where a lot of my addiction started. I am an alcoholic in recovery. My sober date is August 1st, 2019. So this has really been an amazing change and a transformation, just not only with who I am, but emotionally, and being able to live in the present and not be afraid of anything. I don't have to live in fantasy land. Yes, I love a good, hiding place or a secret fort or escape whenever I can get one, but it's not my reality anymore. And I think the biggest thing I learned through that was just journaling. And I loved to journal, but whenever I journaled, I would write things down and then read it, and it just became real. And I couldn't stay in my skin and have this book like next to me, because this book was my reality, and here's my fantasy land that I want to operate in. And it didn't work very well. So I figured out how to solve that super quick, right? I just bought another journal and got rid of the other one. So over the course of early on in my sobriety, I had, I think I was maybe 3 years, and I had 9 journals because all of them were too painful to read. And I would just get a more beautiful, blingy journal and start, who I wanted to be in the next book. And recently, about 2 months ago, I was cleaning out a drawer, and I came across all these old journals, and I was like, okay, I can't do this. I can't just keep toting around different journals with random parts of my life written down. And so I ripped the pages out of every single journal that I had filled up to that point, and I got a big art book, and I just put all of them into this big art book with different pictures and, you know, things. I love to do collages. Oops, I don't know, you guys probably can't even see all that. I'm like flipping through it because I'm like, wait, you can't see this? It's still just for me, but it has been super fun. And, you know, a lot of times during the week, I'm the big note taker. I go to different recovery meetings, and I love to take notes because I love to just write down snippets of what people's experiences are, because they're just so cool that I can keep those. And somebody just talked about receiving, and I went home and I made a collage that day, and then I just wrote down, like, what does receiving look like for me, and how do I receive, and I love to give gifts, but it makes me feel like I didn't deserve this when somebody gives me one. Like, I always feel like I'm not worthy enough or whatever, and but anyway, going through that, I feel like when I started putting all those journals together into this kind of a big junk journal, for lack of a better term, I finally got the freedom and came to this rationalization that this isn't my narrative at all. Like, it's a navigating point. It's a navigating point from different snippets of my life that I wrote through some real hurts, and I grew through a lot of those hurts. But I really came to a beautiful realization about myself, is that I am incredibly vulnerable. I probably overshare. I've always overshared. I've just been that girl. But what I've realized is that in that, people have used that to victimize me and to manipulate me and to turn it against me. And I always felt like something was wrong with me, like, you know, I was the one that, you know, brought the drama because I couldn't deal with my feelings. So I had to pour alcohol on it and then light it on fire, right? Because that's what we do. We just
ethanol, just
yeah. And I feel like that, it didn't serve me. I didn't like being the center of chaos. I literally like to numb things down. Like, I had this real deep empty space, and I could never figure out what fit into it. And I think it was just searching and searching and searching, and not being able to fill that empty space. I realized that I needed something more, and that for me, that was just being present and sitting through those horrible feelings. Because that empty space, it's just a feeling. It's not a fact. If you look at me, I don't have this hollowed out empty space. I just felt hollowed out.
right.
Because I felt like people kind of victimized me through me oversharing or being vulnerable. And today I actually feel like it's my superpower. I feel like my sobriety is my superpower, and I tell everybody about it. And if you're considering, you know, if you're just sober curious, or wherever you are in your journey, try it. Why not try it? What's the worst thing you can do? Is just feel like it wasn't for me. You know, you can go back to your drug of choice tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you can.
But for today, my feeling is pride in my superpower, that I choose to be sober. I choose to be vulnerable. I choose my audience. No, I choose. If I feel comfortable and want to be vulnerable and open, then I will. And trust. I know that you won't victimize me through my vulnerability. And I'm so excited that you asked me to share that, because a lot of times I'm not sure, you know, what I can bring to the table except just being present.
Right.
And you do a beautiful job of just holding space for wherever people are in their journey. But I don't know what your experience is with journaling, but
Oh, geez. My experience with journaling. Well, I hate it. And my sponsor will confirm, I hate to journal. I've never liked to journal. I hate it. Period. End of story. And I don't do it. Now I will do a reasonable amount of, writing, like my gratitudes, things like that. I'm not even super good at that. It's not my strength. You know, I struggled in school.
Mm-hmm.
I can write, you know, a report so fast and get it done, but I don't enjoy it. I hate journaling. So for me, that, no, I just can't do it. But I have so much respect for you and how you did it. And I know that there's a lot of people that do it. I'm more of a talker. And so, you know, and that just goes to show you that, you know, there's different personalities, different ways to do this. And your journals are beautiful. Another thing that you mentioned was being super vulnerable and how people use that to manipulate you. And I guess I don't know if I would call it a strength or a weakness, but I do tend to overshare, and I'm just an open book. You're just like, if you ask me, I'm going to tell you. And I've always been that way, and I've always been the one to I'm going to tell you my weaknesses up front. At least I used to be that way. I'm not as much that way now. And people did use that to manipulate me, and to, you know, they did use those things, that the things that are my deepest hurts. People did use that to really hurt me. And I did have to learn to be very careful with who I shared those with. And you know, we had talked earlier about having to, you know, to kind of distance people that are in our lives. And, you know, I know that you mentioned that you've had to distance people. I've had to distance people. And sometimes that's the hardest thing when you are getting yourself healthy, is realizing that you know, I mean, I had to distance people that they were the only people I had, but they were also the people that hurt me the most. And since distancing myself from them, you know, I've been able to find myself. I've been able to find my happiness. And of course, I wish that the relationships could be different. At this time, you know, it just is not meant to be. And I'm actually very content with that. Another thing that came to mind is when it comes to feelings and people manipulating you. One thing I've found in recovery, and I'll just share a situation with somebody I dated for a while, and we were in a small argument. You know, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it was a large argument, but pretty small. And we were discussing not yelling. And I looked at him and I said, "You make me feel like this." And this is somebody that had quite a bit more sobriety than me. And his instant reply was, "Nobody can make you feel any way." And that has resonated with me. And I was just like, what? But I'll tell you now, that runs in my head all the time, because it is so easy to let people make you feel a certain way. But the truth is, nobody can. And when you are healthy, and when you are, you know, it's okay to have those feelings of hurt and those feelings of sadness and emptiness, but they're your feelings to own. They're not what somebody made you feel. They're just normal feelings that you work through. And so that has been huge for me in my recovery. Is it just gives you back your power. And
giving your power away is huge. And I did it all the time because I wanted so much to be a part of people's lives. I had this giant fear of missing out. So I would always just, you know, give my fear away. And what I realized in doing that was, if this, then this, if this, then this. That doesn't ever work.
Mm-hmm.
Making the right choice isn't necessarily the easy choice. It could, you know, honestly be the hardest thing. But I think what I learned is that I just had all these weapons in my arsenal when I first got into recovery, because I was just so hurt all the time. And if you're going to come at me with this, then I have this weapon. And I've really learned through journaling, through just attending different, you know, meetings and groups and networking with people, is that I was able to turn those weapons into tools. And I use those tools now like journaling, like, being present, like listening instead of talking, taking notes. Two things that really stand out to me recently in meetings that somebody shared, that an opportunity that's meant for me will not pass me by. I might not get on that bus the first time, but it's going to keep presenting itself in my life until I get that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't have that fear anymore, because I trust that when the timing is right, it's going to come back. And that's one of the things that would always kind of hold me hostage and weaponize me. And now I trust, because when I'm present, I'm able to see things, as they flow through, and when it's appropriate for me. And I think that's really, really huge. The other thing related to journaling that I do in the morning, it's kind of like a 10-minute data dump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what else to call it, but I wake up in the morning, and just for the first 10 minutes, I just write whatever comes into my brain. And it's hilarious, you guys. It could be like, oh my gosh, if my cats jump on me at 4 a.m. one more time, there's going to be, a mass hanging, something's going to happen bad. But, and then be like, but I'm so grateful that I have these furry little guys, and, listen to them purr, and it just settles my soul. And then like it all of a sudden funnels down into this thing. And at the end of 10 minutes, and I do set a timer on my phone, but at the end of 10 minutes, I have this nugget. And it's that I feel at peace when I'm with my kittens. That was literally my data dump today. Like, their purring gives me peace. But I have to be present to acknowledge that. If I just jump out of bed because they drove me crazy and I don't want to, fight with them anymore, I miss the opportunity to just all of a sudden drill it down and become grateful for something. And then, I don't even know if I have an example right here, but, well, here's one. And then what I do sometimes when I'm done is I'll just like put a heart around whatever it is that popped out at me. It could say like laugh, silly, snuggly, cuddly, peace, a serenity. I think a serenity was one of the things I highlighted today. But try it. That is seriously, it's hysterical. Like the first 4 minutes, you'd be like, she's a complete nut. Well, actually, no, but nobody reads it, right? So who cares what I put in it?
Yeah.
But it's really been therapeutic for me. And I feel like now, we talked about joy, and joy is, you kind of always have joy. It just varies in expressions, but happiness is a choice. Mm-hmm. And I feel like for me, that choice to get up and start journaling, and it does make me happy.
Yeah.
I choose to be happy now. I don't have to wait to see what life is going to throw at me, because I'm already happy. I'm happy to be here with you.
I'm happy that you're here with me.
I'm happy to be your guest, and just that we had this time together. It's truly amazing. And yeah, I look forward to just seeing more about Love Prevails and where it takes us, and learning more. So
I am excited to see what the future holds for it as well. And I've really appreciated you being here.
Thank you.
Laughing at myself, that's been super healing. Being able to laugh at myself when I do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't used to be able to do that, and now sometimes I can't stop laughing at myself for doing stupid stuff.
I laugh a lot. I'm not joking. I do laugh a lot.
I tend to be a super duper funny person, and so I love that I can laugh at myself. And so thank you.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of you again. I'm getting a lot of really good feedback from these interviews. People seem to really be enjoying them. Very much appreciate the people that are reaching out to me, and I look forward to speaking with other people. Please continue to watch every Monday at 3:30 Mountain Standard Time. I have more interviews scheduled for the coming weeks, and if you or somebody you love is struggling with addiction, I'd love to be able to chat, see if you fit, if you're a good fit with the program that we have here. Another thing I want to mention is if you could please like, share, follow, comment on my posts. It's not only going to help me get the word out, but it's going to help other people. If you would like to share your story, I know it's going to change lives, and please reach out to me. And I'd like to close by just saying your best life is waiting for you. Connect with me, and we're going to find it together. enjoy your Monday. I hope everybody's enjoyed the snow. The snow's been amazing.
It's been amazing. Yeah.
This is the first time I've been out in a couple days, and so I've really enjoyed the snow. But enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah.
And it's good to see everybody again.
Thank you. Have a great day.